So back in the day, he was known as 4x4 when he was on the streets. And you can tell, look at him, man, he's built like a tank. So apologies, the name is Alon, and this is his session, and it's going to be amazing. And it's called Look What I Can Do.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Look what I can do. So look what Alon can do. But just we did reschedule this because he couldn't talk yesterday, and we all wanted to hear what he had to say. And if you don't know Alon, actually, how many people have been to one of his presentations at a previous Mile High Dreamin'? Yeah. So the pressure's on, bud. How many are new to see what Alon can do? This is great. So now you can win some new fans. Thank you all for coming back again today. I'm sure someone told you in the room yesterday when you were all gathered. Thank you for not throwing any tables or getting angry. And we're glad you can come back and talk today. So without any more introduction, Alon Waisman.
Hi, everybody. All right, Gilda just started talking to somebody, but Gilda, this is the best swag that Salesforce has ever had. I want a full set. Who can we not do this without? Sponsors. Who do we love? All right, cool. I have a couple other questions that if I had my iPad open, I might remember them all. All right, actually, before I ask any other questions, I'm going to want to volunteer at the beginning. I do want to ask very genuinely, I'm not asking for, anyone to do no pandering or anything. Who's learned more at Mile High Dreamin' than they have at a Trailhead DX or a Dreamforce? Right, I'm seeing a lot of hands. I feel that way as well. Just if there's anyone from Salesforce, Gilda, here who could send that message, I'd love for Dreamforce and Trailhead DX to have actual useful things at their conference instead of just talking about AI all the time. All right, so this session is a giveaway. We just did giveaways before the previous session, which was about AI and was cool, by the way. Anyway, so this session is about me trying to give you guys stuff. So you don't have to look under your chair to find a hidden anything, but I'm going to show you some stuff that I've built that I think is useful in a lot of different orgs. It's completely generic. It doesn't require any special objects or anything. So that's what I'm going to show off. The very first thing is a Chrome extension that I actually did not originate, but I liked it so much that I contributed to it and improved it in some ways that it needed. And so, Ashley, if you could come up. Has anyone heard of Why Salesforce, the Chrome extension? Yep, cool. So I was actually, I go to Dreamforce and Trailhead a lot. And while I was there, I went to True to the Core, and I was like, hey, guys, you need to make your interface better and give us a way to have links for the things that I use all the damn time. So you should let me do that. And someone after that event was like, somebody built that as a Chrome extension. And I went home, and I installed it, and it was really cool. So that's what I'm going to show you first. It's called Why Salesforce. Also, all of my stuff that I talk about today, it's on my GitHub, so you can get there and I'll tell you how to find it, and then you can install all this stuff. All right, so I need you to open up Chrome, which I hope you have and use. You do. Yep. Cool. Take a bow. All right. Do we have Chrome open? Mm-hmm. All right, so do you know how to find the Chrome extension store? This is the part that I'm not super good at. Yeah. Management, so click on the little dots. And we should have something about finding some extensions somewhere, which I don't even see. There it is. I mean, if we actually click on extensions, is that going to take us to the store? I definitely did this in advance. There it is, View Chrome Web Store. All right, just type in Why Salesforce. Yeah, totally pick that one and install it. Add to Chrome. I should have asked, are you someone who actually spends a lot of their time in the setup side of Salesforce?
Yes.
Okay, good, because that's pretty key to this. All right, so I guess it's been added. Sweet, so just open up Salesforce and go to the setup side of Salesforce. Any org, doesn't matter.
Create my own, don't mind that.
Okay. If you click on the extension thing, and then we find Why Salesforce, it's got a super stupid icon. Yeah, click on that. Sweet. Okay. So, do you see over here? I should use the pointer. Do you mind if I touch your computer? Okay. So here we've got Home and Object Manager, but now we also have Home and Flow and User. Those are not normal. Those are because of this. So now you can go in here, you can click on the little icon that's, how did I lose the pointer? Okay. So you can click on the little icon and then you can start adding links. So I'm not going to have you actually add a bunch right now, but like there's one that goes to flow. You could add one to permission sets or public groups or whatever you feel like. I end up going to a million different places in Salesforce all the time. Do you do the same thing, Ashley?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think this is actually going to be useful for you?
Super helpful.
Already installed. You don't even have to do it when you get home. It's done.
Yeah.
So any Salesforce org you go to, when you're in the setup side, you can just start adding these. And if you open up Chrome on a different computer, it'll bring that in, and it'll work the same way as before. All right? Now, the stuff I added to this was like just allowing you to move them up and down and some other things, which I don't even, yeah. There it is. So like you can click on here and say, no, I want this to go lower, or I want to get rid of it, or whatever. It was originally created by Warren Walters. He's awesome. I talked to him, said I want to make it do other things, and he said, I agree, you should do it, and I did it. All right. Thank you very much, Ashley.
Thank you.
And that's how easy it is to install the first thing. For the record, my session was originally set as 25 minutes, and so I thought I'd have to rush through all this stuff. But now I have more time, so I can take it a little bit more slowly. And hope I don't cough in your ear. Okay, so was anyone here 2 years ago when I showed off the thing called Dynamic Banner? All right, cool, because I'm going to show you an updated version that is not compatible with the one from 2 years ago. So here's my org. Let's imagine a situation where you open up an account and you want to point something out to your users. Like, this is a big time account. You should talk to the owner's manager before messing with it. Maybe because it's got a high annual revenue, or it's a sensitive account for some reason, like it's the boss's cousin or something. So this big banner at the top, I definitely see it. I'm not arguing that it's completely useless, but we could make it better. A lot of times in our orgs, we want to add a splash of color or add a more intelligent message. I use dynamic forms, just like the only thing I do. I never use the standard page layouts anymore. And I use visibility filters a lot to make sure that things show up when I want them to show up and not, when I don't. So I'm going to show you how we could improve this using this tool that I call Dynamic Banner. Oh, cool. It's been a long time since I logged in, apparently. I'm probably going to have to do that multiple times. Okay, so first of all, I might decide I want this to not just be red on white. I want it to be more colorful. With the this is rich text, by the way. So with rich text, you can't do that. In fact, you used to be able to put like a background color on the text. You can't even do that anymore. I don't know when that got removed, but I guess the rich text composer changed at some point. So at least as far as I know, you can't do that. So I'm going to add something that is similar in terms of like what it produces for you, the user, but better. So here's Dynamic Banner. Now I can say the same thing. I could take the same text, if I felt like it, and go over to this thing, and I could add that in. Now it says, this is a big time account, talk to the owner's manager. But first of all, you can see that there's some coloration on it. Maybe I want to make it pink. All right, so we'll make it pink, and maybe I need this to be blue. This is going to be super ugly. Great. But then, I don't like just saying the owner's manager. So let's get rid of that. And instead, I'll say, using very SOQL format stuff, I want to talk to the owner, manager, name. And suddenly it knows that the owner of this account has a manager, and that manager is named Alon Waisman. So this can go, it's exactly the same format as you would use in SOQL, because that is what it's actually using. But the point is that it dynamically replaces the content that you put in your text with the actual content from the record, which I've wanted to do a million times, and now you can. Since I last presented this a couple years ago, some of the improvements I've made to it are one thing you can do is make the entire banner a link. So I have some examples of that I might show off in a bit. You can just say like, hey, I want you to go from here, go to this other related related object or page or something. So there's a lot of different things you can do with it. You can add an entire CSS class. So like, you know how there's this transition to SLDS2 right now? One thing I've noticed is that the colors associated with warning and success they're just not the same color, right? It's still a green and a green and an orange, but it's like a very different green and orange and red for success and failure and warning and stuff. So you can apply a class like SLDS-theme_warning, and that'll just make it look like the orange for your theme. And if you change the theme, it'll look like the new warning instead of just putting a background color that is hard-coded and then doesn't translate when you switch themes. Also, I've started using tasks a lot more in my current role, at my current company, I mean. And tasks have a polymorphic relationship to whatever they're connected to, which traditionally is really hard to work with when you're making things like this. So I made it work polymorphically. I don't know how else to say that. Oh, look, I didn't have to log in. All right, so here's another way I use it. So this is dynamically displayed. Under a certain condition, display the message. By the way, I can use HTML in that text area. So I was able to put in some emojis and put in spacings and spans and make some things bold very easily because I wanted to. But you can see that it's like this is being pulled from the record. This is being pulled from the record. This is being pulled from the record. And it looks like something that's going to get someone's attention. Displayed when I want it to display. This is an example of it being a button. And so I break out cases into cases and case details. They flip out like this. This is another example of a button, but it goes to, it actually goes to a file so that it'll display the PDF if I pick it. This is my actual work sandbox. Here's another thing. You can put in information that's hidden and then open it up. So we have a lot of information for people. This right here is actually not a dynamic banner. It looks very similar, but it's not. This is a really cool component that one day I might make available to other people as well. All right, that's all I want to talk about with dynamic banner. That one's done. So all of the things I'm showing you today, you can download and install. And at the end of today, I'm going to show you like where my GitHub is, and so you can just install it yourself. All right. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's go back here. All right, so the next thing I want to show is what I call deep related list. So I've seen people want frequently to be able to display lists of records that are not related to one of your children, but related to one of your grandchildren, and display information, just different types of information. Let me pull up my iPad again. This is going to help me. Okay, so let's say, for example, and my examples are going to use stuff that's built into Salesforce so that I don't have to use any custom objects that you guys don't know about. So let's say you're in a sales, your organization does a lot with Salesforce, because most of them do. You've got accounts, and you've got opportunities, and you've also got opportunity products, otherwise known as opportunity line items. And I want to put all of the products that have been purchased by this account somewhere on this account page. I'm going to walk through how quickly you can build something like that. Yeah, this has been happening all day. Super cool. If I can't get past that, then show's over. Okay, so here I'm going to get, this is my demo or my developer org, so there's just so much stuff everywhere. Okay, so first of all, you can put a title on it. So I want this to be purchase products. And let's put an icon on there. By the way, all of these, I try to have useful information bubbles to explain how to do all this stuff. But also on my GitHub, I go into much deeper detail, or at least much more useful detail and easier to read, instructions for all of these things. All right, so I want to show products. It's hard to type in this thing. Excuse me. I've been fighting that stuff for days. Okay, so for this one, remember the instructions are out there, so you don't need to remember it because I'm talking about it now, but I'm still going to explain it. What we want to look at is essentially a related list, but a related list or something. So object API name of the listed records. So for this, opportunity products, as I mentioned, are actually opportunity line items. And the way that I relate from the object I want to display to the current record page that I'm on. In other words, using SOQL format to get from opportunity line items to account. How do I do it? Well, there's a field on opportunity line item called opportunity ID. So the Stockwell format would cut off the ID, we add the dot, and then the relationship from opportunity to account is account ID. So I'm explaining that's how you get from the listed record to the records of the page that we're on. And now I want to put some columns in. This uses a special format that I just had to develop some way for people to input stuff without having to have like a million areas for you to put something in. So let's say the first thing we want to do, like a normal related list, is show the actual record so you can know what that record is, right? So I'll use the API name, I'll use the ID, and then I also want to know what opportunity is that's related to it. And we'll show the quantity as well, and the unit price, and the total price. We should start seeing stuff come up pretty soon, maybe. All right. I think I have to do this. So this formatting here, is this actually big enough for people to see? It's absolutely not big enough for people to see. All right. So I can also say what I want the column header to look like. So I don't want the column header to just say ID or even like opportunity line item ID. So I just want to call this, this is really the product that I want. And then I'm going to mask that. Again, there's instructions for this, right? So I don't want to go into it too much. So we'll say product.name, and hopefully that worked. Oh, super cool. It's not working at all. Oh, did I mess it up? Opportunity. Quantity. Oh, thank you. Although earlier I was helping Chris with something, and this was not updating as we were making changes and things. So I intentionally didn't have this on the screen so I could build it in front of you, and I think that didn't work out too well. Anyway, let's just move on for right now. I also want to add some filters in here. So what I'm going to say is that I only wanted to show things where the stage name is equal to closed one. So it's very much like if you were writing a SOQL query, what would it be? And if I want to sort the field, I'll sort it by the ID. And it can be paginated. It automatically is paginated. So we'll leave it like that. I'm going to try to save it and see if this actually works. It really should. Oh, this is totally no fun. Louder. Did you say dynamics? I don't know what he said. I'll just show you a picture of it, and trust me that it totally works, and I'm super annoyed that it's not working right now. But I don't want to take forever, and it's no fun to deal with bugs. So here's an example of what mine looks like versus what a traditional related list looks like. So a traditional related list is down here. This one looks like this. And I want to point out a couple things. This is the data model. So you've got accounts, you've got opportunities, and you've got opportunity products, which are called opportunity line item, which, is that really what I screwed up?
Yeah, that's what you're saying, line item.
Line item. I'm on the wrong page right now. Guys, I've been sick for days, and I knew I was going to give a bad live presentation, so I apologize. You're very kind. I promise, at very least, you'll get something out of it. So that's cool. No, it's called opportunity line item for sure. Here, if I just do this, like what shows up? Yeah, it totally shows something. All right, so let's keep going because this is kind of working now. Does that work? Opportunity ID. If I spell it correctly. Totally does. Sweet. I don't know why it's so hard for me to type on this like angle. Maybe because I usually use a different keyboard. What else did I want? I wanted like unit price, not unity. That works. Awesome. And you can see it's taking the standard label from the record, or from that field, and showing it on the screen. So you don't have to like tell it what the column header is. Sweet. All right. So this is what it would look like. if you didn't do anything else. Now, this is useless, right? I don't like that it's, first of all, it says line item ID because we're talking about products. Users think of this as a product. So I can fix that. I can say what I want the column header to say. I want it to be product. And what I want to do is use the name of the record instead of the ID. So I'm going to mask it with the name. So this is the API name of the field that is masking the API name of this field, which is ID. Now, if you've ever used opportunity line items or opportunity products, then you know what it does is it takes the name of the opportunity and it concatenates it with the name of the product. And so now we get something right here, like I have an opportunity called 2024 Motherload, but then the product is called Gen-Watt Diesel. Users aren't going to really care about the opportunity name here because it's going to be beside it in the column. So I can also use related like SOCKWOL format to find, I can mask it with something else. And that's why I was trying to show you this. I'm actually showing these records, the opportunity products. I'm showing information that goes up the chain, these parent things as well. But I can even mask it or put information from things related through a different stack as well. So I'm going to show the product's name to mask the opportunity product's ID. No reason not to do that. You totally can. You're supposed to anyway, be able to. Oh, this is why, because it's called product 2. You know how often that gets me? Okay, so but under the hood, products are called product 2 for some historical reason that I'm sure someone here knows about. Anyway, so this is it. I could go on and do the rest of it as well, right? I want the opportunity ID to display, but I want to mask it and call it opportunity, and I'm going to mask it using the opportunity's name. If I can get that right. Sweet, cool, totally works. All right, I got it. Sorry, it took a few minutes, but here we go. So now we've got a related list, all of the things packed up here. It won't like put all of the different Gen-Watt Diesel 1,000 kilowatts into a single line, because if there were multiple opportunities that had that on it, you would see it multiple times and how many quantities it was. But this is a way to get your grandchild objects or your great-grandchild objects up to somewhere where you want to, some other object where you want to show them. Chris and I were struggling with this actually with a company that we were working on recently, and he really wanted to see grandchild objects because I made him put an object in between the things that used to be directly related. So I like ruined everything he'd done. I was like, don't worry, I totally have a solution for that. Okay, so the next thing I want to show is called, what is it called? Report with dynamic filters. This one is harder to use, which is why I try to have good instructions. And so let's start building something like that. First, I'm going to make sure I save this. Okay, so I was telling you about dynamic banner before. One of the things, I just want to put a little separation here. I'm going to take dynamic banner and pop it here. One thing you can do with it, like you can get really creative with this one. I just want it to be a spacer. So like I'll say, you know what, let's make this, I don't know, I really like cadet blue, if you're familiar with that one, but that's way too big, so I'll make this like, let's say 5 pixels, cool. And if I tried to actually save this, I don't think it would work because it doesn't like white space in the main text area, so I'll just like put some HTML in there that makes it work. So if I do that, it's at least not blank, it's not just white space, but it doesn't actually put anything on the screen. Cool. So now we've got essentially this visual separation between some of the information we're putting on the screen and some other information we want on the screen. So now we're going to do my report with dynamic filters. This one, you know what? I don't know that I want to build this one since things haven't been going super quickly for me on stage. So I'm going to try to show you some examples of this. First, let me get rid of this and just show you that I do have some pre-built. All right, so here's a couple examples. Salesforce has been doing a much better job of making the user search usable. It still doesn't really make the cut, in my opinion. So I used this tool that I built to be able to just make a user search because I was like, oh, wait, I already built this for something else, and this would totally work for user search. So basically, you put in a few inputs, and I will show you those inputs in a minute. But this is the output. You just tell it a few things, and it will automatically create essentially an interactive report for you. So like if your users are constantly telling you like, hey, I've got a list view, but how do I add a some filter to it? I don't like how it's showing now. I want to show only open cases instead of open and closed cases or whatever. And maybe you just don't want to teach everybody about how to make their own list view. You could also just make a tab, some Lightning tab, and put this content in there and be like, all right, here you go. Here's a case finder or a user search or whatever. User search would just be for admins. But the magic in this one is that you can tell it, I want you to make a pick list out of the data you have that is not pick list data, and it will generate that automatically, and then users can just use this on the fly. So I can say like, again, this is my sandbox org, so it doesn't have a whole bunch of stuff in it, but I could be like, show me all of the people who are Chatter free users. Show me all of this. You can also just start typing stuff in. You could, I don't want to show you my work org that has thousands of people in it because I don't want to show all of my employees' names on the screens, or a lot of my coworkers' names. But this is how it works. If I want to show like just Bugs Bunny or something, I can do that, hit enter, and cool. So it can create these free text fields for you. If you put in a date, it'll be like, what's the earliest date and the latest date. If you put in a number field, it'll know that, and it will give you a place to input the lowest number and the highest number so that it'll filter that way intelligently. This is a fuzzy field, as you saw, so it found more than one thing. Like I said, this doesn't have to be a pick list. Right? It'll automatically create that. So let's say you wanted to show all of the accounts. So the way this works is that all of these accounts, of course, have billing information associated with them. They all have a billing state. So it's like, hey, use the billing state as one of the pick lists. And so this won't show all 50 states if we don't have 50 states represented in our database. It'll just show all of the ones that are here with the data. So let's show me all of the accounts that are in Iowa. Show me all of the accounts in Iowa that are owned by Santa Claus, right? And it quickly filters that. It also has pagination built in. If you can also like apply filters to it. So if you have, let's say, 100,000 records, you just can't handle that much data in a Lightning Web Component. You can't take that much data in a SQL query, except under very special circumstances that don't apply here. And so you might need to add special filters and say, like, only show me the records that were created in the last year or whatever. You want to add a bunch of filters that need to apply that the users won't have control over. You can do that. And then if you do, there's going to be a filter button here so people can at least see what filters are being applied. So again, I told you I would show you what this actually looks like. This is not what I want to show. So the inputs, I hate how this is so like one way. I have no idea if you guys think this is all crap or not. Thank you. All right, so bunch of inputs. I almost like didn't want to talk about this one because it's a little bit hard to use. Like it's got this part that is JSON data. And so in the instructions that I give, like it actually spells out, here's an example of some JSON data that you would use, and here's all the things you need to know and how to fill it. Because like I said, this one is not necessarily easy to use. So I do my best explaining it. I would love feedback if people have feedback about how I can make it better, easier for the user to enter the data, whatever. Anyway, what I was saying is you can add filters, right? So if I wanted to add a required filter here, like I could just say is active is true. And then, cool, I'm having a meeting right now. It is, yeah. So I'm not sure what just happened here unless it's supposed to be this. Oh. All right, well then, look at the instructions because apparently I forgot how to use my own tool. Anyway, you can build it. It's honestly, in my opinion, pretty awesome. I use it all the time for a lot of different places. One thing that I use it for here is in my real org. Again, this is sandbox data, so we're not seeing real information. But I work for a healthcare company, and so we have participants that are in our programs and stuff. And so we have cases associated with them. We can say and we've got 20 different centers across the country, so we can say only show me the Sacramento cases, or we can get rid of this. And I only have a few examples here for sake of demonstration, but imagine there's thousands, right? So this makes it very easy. You decide what the pick lists, the pseudo pick list values are going to be. You decide what all of these quick entry things are going to be. Say, only show me all of the cases that have 239 in them, which probably were in a certain time period. All right, so the dynamic banner, the deep related list, and the report with dynamic filters are all very visual things. I think they're cool tools. You'll be able to install them today. I hope you like them. There's one more thing I want to show. Do we have any developers in the audience? Cool. We have developers. Awesome. So have you ever had a situation where you have some new field and you want to backfill that field, but you have like 300,000 accounts? And so how are you going to do that? If you're an admin, you probably do stuff like pop all of the records into Excel, decide what that should be through whatever logic you have, put them all in the Excel sheet, and then use data loader to install them all. If you're a developer, you probably do something different. By the way, this banner at the top is my like secret me only version of the Chrome extension I had Ashley install. So I made a bunch of other improvements to it that like haven't been accepted into the actual extension. So anyway, that's what this thing is at the top. All right, so let's actually show a quick example of what like a script might be that you want to update a bunch of accounts. So this is what, for the people who aren't developers, this is what it might look like. I'm going to get a whole bunch of accounts. I'm going to call them accounts, and I'm going to run a SOQL query. I'll say, I'm just going to go with lowercase now. Get all of them, get like, I don't know, the annual revenue if that's important, and just get it from all of the accounts. All right, I want to get every single account, and I want to backfill some field. So then you would write some code. You say, I've got a bunch of accounts called accounts. I want to do some stuff. I want to say account dot like new revenue field equals, and this is obviously a silly example, but it would look like this. I would take the annual revenue, and let's just pretend I'm going to modify it. It's like ×2. Everybody gets to make a whole bunch more money now. And then I say update accounts. All right, so that's like what a quick script would look like if we're going to update everything in the system. But as we all know, there are governor limits. So this would not work for a number of reasons in a real situation, or in some situations. So if I have like, let's say I want to update 30,000 accounts at once, but oftentimes on accounts, you have all these cascading operations that happen. You have record-triggered flows, which trigger other record-triggered flows and whatever. I was working in an org a few years ago where if I tried to update like more than a couple hundred accounts, just one new field on a couple hundred accounts, it would tell me, sorry, that took too long, and then it wouldn't make any of the changes. Meanwhile, we had tens of thousands of accounts. So I'd have to like reduce it to the number that would work, maybe 100, and like sit here and say, okay, yeah, I want to execute that, and I want to execute it again, and then I want to execute it again, and I want to execute it again because I really didn't want to use data loader. But like, it would be really cool if instead of having to do that, I just had a batch class that took care of it on its own. I was like, we're going to call it batch it because it's crazy, and I just do that. That's it. So if you're a developer and you install the stuff that I have, or just look at my GitHub and install just this one thing, it's a simple batch class that will take records that you've already modified. You don't have to touch this class at all. You don't have to modify the class at all. It's just instead of sending your DML either an insert or an update, it would all, you can choose specifically if you want an insert or an update, but like the easy one is just to say batch it now, and it will upsert all of the records you gave it, and it will do it, you know, you can tell it how big you want the batch to be, but it'll default to the standard 200, and it'll just update. Keep going, it'll keep updating them until it's done. You're still going to be limited to like pulling 50,000 records at a time because that's the limit that you can get in a SOQL query like this. But you at least don't have to sit there and do it a million times or use data loader. You can just say, instead of update, you say batch it now, these things that I want to change. When I realized I could do this and I built this, it totally changed my workflows. It's so much easier to do a lot of things, and I end up using this in my code as well because there's all sorts of times you want to make sure that this isn't going to break when I send it too many records, but I don't know how many records there are, so I'm just going to batch it. I've already made all the modifications. I'm going to batch it, and that way I don't have to worry about how many there are, like up to a rational limit. I don't think there's going to be more than 1,000. I don't think there's going to be more than 10,000. So like, let it run its course. Obviously, there's still a place for batch classes when you need to like Well, if you're developers, you know what they're good for. This is a case where like 99% of the time, this is what I was using it for, and this makes my life so much easier. So I do this. I'm sorry it's not pretty to look at like all the components were. Maybe, I don't know if they were pretty. But this is the last thing I wanted to show you of like the sort of 5 things that I've built and contributed to that I think will make your lives easier. My GitHub is github.com/moalon. So I'll make sure you can see it. If I can actually find my own GitHub link. All right, so if you go to my GitHub, github/moalon, right here. That's me, and that's me. And so Mile High Dream in 25 is the package I put together with all the stuff I just talked about. Obviously, it's not the Chrome extension. You have to go to the Chrome store for that. But for dynamic banner, deep related list, report with dynamic filters, and batch it, it's all here. You can look at them. If you want to see the instructions for all of them, you can click in here in the GitHub, and it'll give you instructions for how to use it all. And then I haven't really done this a lot, but I built an unmanaged package out of it. So it isn't a playground org, so I don't know how long it's going to last. But you can install it directly into your sandbox or production if you trust me enough to do that. And that's it, I think. Here's some instructions for the one I told you was really complicated. Once you do it once, it's pretty easy to do over and over again. That's it, everybody. Thank you very much.